Oh, yeah. Greetings, salutations, respect, and love, boys and girls. Oh, welcome to the Prog Corner. I am Scott, and today on the Sunday live Prog stream, we're going to be talking about the Mount Rushmore of prog rock keyboard players. Yeah. This was supposed to be a different episode here. There was a last minute programming change. At first I was going to be doing this whole Andy Edwards feud thing that we've got going on. Me versus Andy Edwards. I was going to use my 90-minute platform here just to slam him mercilessly, but then cooler heads prevailed, and we got a message through third-party intermediaries that Pete Pardo wanted to maybe mediate and become some kind of arbitrator of this feud. So I decided maybe I'd bring the temperature level down just a smidge on the feud, even though I honestly believe that I deserve another shot, man. Right? I mean, I only put one video out against Andy, right? Only one. He's put out 2 anti-prog corner videos, so I feel like I do deserve one more shot. I'm going to hold my fire, though, because I'm going to take the high road here, right? They go low, we go high. And then we were all set to do a Uriah Heep, top 10 Uriah Heep songs with the great Pete Pardo. He's feeling under the weather, so we're going to just shift gears because, you see, I got all my Uriah Heep stuff behind.
I know. I noticed that.
Too lazy to change it. It was that last minute. But we are doing Uriah Heep, and there's no way I would want to do Uriah Heep without Pete Pardo. He's on the record as saying it's one of his most favorite bands of all time. Right up there, with like Deep Purple and Whitesnake, right?
Yeah.
So the timing might actually work really good because last time I checked, Pete Pardo is at like 98.5 thousand subscribers, which means he's so close to getting that precious silver play button. Oh, man. So if we get him, after he surpasses that, it'd be kind of cool to have a guy with a silver play button on the stream, right? I mean, that's just kind of cool.
Oh, yeah.
I'm a YouTuber at heart, man. This is bad. I worry about that kind of stuff way too much. So that was scrapped. And then, I was thinking, maybe I'll put an invitation out to Andy Edwards to be on the stream today, but apparently there's some kind of Cavis Cherobi concert going on. He actually said he would come on here and hash it out, but maybe the best venue for this is to go on Sea of Tranquility and hash it out there, so we don't, disturb the purity and the sanctity of the Prog Corner, right? We don't need that kind of negativity around here. Today we are talking about prog rock keyboard players, and I have with me an esteemed panel. I've got my natural allies here. It's like when the going gets tough, you circle the wagons, and I've got my wingmen and woman with me here today, protecting my flank, looking out. Got my 6 in Alberta. It's Wayne. How you doing, man?
Oh, not too bad. Not too bad. Posted my thoughts on your Andy Edwards and Prog Corner feud. Video's doing really well, so all's good here.
The feud is good business, man. Jeff Shilka's in the house. Hope you're feeling better, Jeff. I know things were rough for you. Getting old sucks, man. But Rhyme Signatures doesn't have to worry about getting old. How you doing, Ian?
Best beard in the business.
Yes.
We love Ian. You know what? You see this? It's just there's a blank space here on the stream. I'm going to be a nice guy, and I'm going to put it up.
Kevin.
Post it right now.
Harmony, get in here.
Prog Radio, Kevin.
If Ian wants to jump on here, if Kevin from Prog Radio, I see Kevin's in the house. We got Zeb in the house all the way from Norway. Of course, we've got Ian in the house, Peter Jones from the UK. Thank you for joining the live stream. This is the live stream that almost didn't happen, so I appreciate you all for being here today. And not I couldn't be more appreciative of any two people than the ones that gave me a little bit of shine and gloss in response to all the negativity and the vicious attacks I was getting from Andy Edwards. The one little ray of light, the one piece of sunshine that was raining down was he had to give credit where credit was due, and that is Prog Love. From Ontario, we've got Cody, and of course, Tarra. How you guys doing?
We're good.
Prog Love, man. I love seeing it.
I actually was playing some Frost for her the other day, and if anything comes out of this, anything good comes out of this Prog Corner versus Andy Edwards thing, it's I want you to know that I'm 100% Team Scott. There's not a question.
Unlike somebody else who's supposed to be my wingman, right? I mean, we've got a guy here who's supposed to be my main guy, and yeah, hey, I got a weird new thing on my a StreamYard. It's got a weird new icon on there, so I guess everything's all right. People are commenting and stuff, so I guess we're good. I got to look out for that kind of stuff because my computer, on top of everything else, yeah, I mean, this is the Sunday stream that almost didn't happen. I had a computer crash situation. We had all these storms roll through Ohio, tornastic storms, just messing everything up. Luckily, we didn't get the brunt of it like we did earlier this year. But we did get a power outage, and I guess my surge protector or whatever did absolutely nothing. So I was scrambling around all scared. Every time I tried to turn the computer on, I was getting all these weird beep codes and whatnot, like talking Morse code to me and whatnot. It was really frightening and terrifying, because, I can't do the live stream on my phone, right? That wouldn't work. I don't think that would work right. So we would have had to have tried it, and I don't think it would have worked well at all. But today, this is a tough one here. We're talking about prog rock keyboard players, and honestly, it's like the Twin Peaks, right? I'm half inclined not to include Rick Wakeman or Keith Emerson. I mean, come on, man.
I know.
We're spending half our time talking about Keith Emerson and Rick Wakeman. But, you guys do whatever you want to do. I don't care. In fact, I think what I'm going to do, just because there's so many candidates out there, I think I'm going to find myself 2 mountains and carve me out a Mount Rushmore for like the old dudes from the 70s, the classic prog people, and carve me out a second mountain for, more of the modern people. I think that's what I'm going to do. But, and does John Lord count?
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah.
Have you heard solo albums? Have you heard John Lord's solo albums? Of course he counts. That's ridiculous. Of course he counts. Yeah, keyboards are an essential part of prog rock. Yes. However, I was just saying to the boys and girls before we went live that it's very, very interesting that a certain tribute band that's just started up playing 80s King Crimson right all over North America. They just added a bunch of dates to their tour. Starts next month in San Diego, I think September 12th. They're doing 65 dates in 3 months, man. All in North America. And like a third of them are sold out already. And, oh, wait a second, that's a prog rock band without a keyboard player. So, yeah, we're going to be talking about best keyboard players today. Makes a lot of sense. Eddie Jobson. Absolutely.
My dad just mentioned Jem Godfrey from Andy Edwards' old band.
There we go. Don't you get started. Okay, here's one before we get started. Peter Bardens. Another thing I was tempted to do, I was tempted to just exclude Rick Wakeman and Keith Emerson. I was also tempted to exclude anybody that ever played keyboards for Camel. Because there are too many of them, man. Think about Peter Bardens, right? Yeah. And then you had what? Dave Sinclair, and then you had Duncan McKay, and then you had Kit Watkins, and then you had Tom Scherpinzel from Kayak, and now you got the great Peter Jones from Tiger Mouth Tales. Maybe they should all be excluded and they just get their own little special statue. The keyboard players of Camel. Good call. Good call there, Ian. Yeah, so I think we want to get started with Wayne, and I want to see what you think about the Mount Rushmore prog rock keyboard players. Wendy Carlos. Yeah, that's a good call. Absolutely. Taught both Rick Wakeman and Keith Emerson a thing or two. Pretty much anybody who was in a rock band at a certain time that played keyboards was probably in debt to Wendy Carlos. Absolutely. Martin Orford. Yeah, absolutely. Big fan. That's a great call. Hey, look who's in the chat here. Outstanding.
That's my dad. He's a big Frost fan too. This one's for Andy Edwards.
There you go. Nice. Nice. Oh, yeah, Luca Zabini for sure. And Hugh Banton. He was another one I had in my honorable mention. I don't have him on my mountain, Zeb, but I had a feeling he'd be on your mountain. Wayne, let's go to you. Let's talk about some keyboard players and who you think needs to be on that mountain. Kerry Livgren. How do you pick between Kerry Livgren and Steve Walsh, by the way?
Don't they kind of cancel each other out then?
They cancel each other out in a lot of areas, right? They do. They just do.
So this was actually really hard to do because there is so many great keyboard players in the land of prog, like through the years that have just come through. And the great thing about it is, even though a lot of these guys used like Hammond organs and that, they all had their very distinct sounds, ways to differentiate each other from themselves. And the one question I would ask, especially about Rick Wakeman, whose idea was it for some of those absolutely brutal album covers?
Oh, yeah, they were
that
bad.
He had through the
He
years.
had some terrible ones. He had some absolute stinkers. And it didn't take him long either. It's not like he had a string of great classic. Six Wives is a good album cover.
It's
Yep.
so
That's the
fun.
After that, it got bad fast.
The Six Wives cover is him in Madame Tussauds in London.
Yeah.
And there's a display of the Six Wives, and he's literally like this, quick, take the picture before they say anything on the cover.
The best part of that album cover is, of course, the original pressings. If you look carefully, has Richard Nixon in the background, which I guess on later repressings they had to take the Nixon image out of there. Yeah, we love the Nixon lurking. Yeah,
The great first Photoshop.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway, getting into my list, the first person I would put on the Mount Rushmore of prog rock keyboard players, Ken Hensley of Uriah Heep.
Good.
Oh, let me just bow to the great Ken Hensley. Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
His keyboard work was so integral to that first 10-year run of Heep, where
Yeah, it was, yeah.
especially his work on songs like July Morning, Circle of Hands, oh man, Shadow of Grief, Salisbury, just a fantastic keyboard player, but also one of the most underrated slide guitar players at the same time.
Yeah.
Like his work, but man, listening to him play keys, especially that swirling opening to July Morning, and have Mick Box come in there as well.
If Kyle's going to get all cute in the comments, he can just come on up here on the panel. Hey, you know better. You know it wasn't Dean McGaw's Red Planet. You know he was talking about Rick Wakeman's Red Planet.
I'm making a call out here to rhyme signatures. He's gotta get himself up in here.
I'm gonna put it up again. Okay.
He said he's knee deep in Curry.
I don't want to act like I'm desperate. There ain't no Mr. Desperado in me. I put this link up twice. And there ain't going to be no third time. I'll tell you that much.
I'm cooking.
Oh, Ian's cooking. Okay. All
That's
right.
okay. We'll continue on. We're having fun anyway.
All right. We don't need you.
Yeah, Ken Hensley, but also a hell of a lyricist for that band and writer. Like, he's one of those guys that he could be as heavy as you want on
And
organ
singer. He sang one song on this
and
album.
singer.
Yeah.
And yeah, also had a hell of a voice. Like, he could reach the ranges of David Byron as well on a lot of that stuff.
Well,
Constantly
the band
working.
stayed really, really good after David Byron. I thought that band stayed good all the way through. And I think it was Ken Hensley being in the band. And then once he was out of the band, the spirit of Ken Hensley always hangs over the band. He was the heart and soul of the band.
Yeah, and but he's one of those guys, like, not just with Uriah Heep, but also his work on all these other side projects with a band called Weed, released an absolutely phenomenal, just, if you love guitar, if you love organ, listen to that album. Tofat, I believe he was in, The Gods, and
Yep.
also a lot of his solo work is actually really good.
I forgot about the Gods. But how about that first solo album?
Oh yeah,
What is that?
Proud Roots on a Dusty Shelf, really good.
Man, that's a great album.
Number 2 on the Mount Rushmore, I have to take the name from one of the biggest bands in Prague, Richard Wright,
Oh, good man.
the most criminally underrated of all the big six of Prague. Richard Wright probably gets the least amount of recognition out of all of them because he wasn't the flashiest. But if you go back and listen to a lot of Pink Floyd, Richard Wright is so integral to that sound that band got, and wrote one of the most beautiful songs, The Great Gig in the Sky. And hearing his keyboard work, then you also get the Animals album, which everyone considers one of the greatest Pink Floyd albums. His keyboard work is so integral to that album to give it that dark, sinister feel on songs like Sheep, Pigs, and even some of the synthesizer work on Dogs that gives it that very kind of claustrophobic feeling.
Yeah.
He was so integral to that.
100%. To me, you don't really realize how great and amazing he is until I stepped away and started thinking about the songs that I love from Pink Floyd. Not the good songs, the songs I like, the songs that hit me right here.
Yeah.
Every single one of them's got Richard Wright in its dead center.
Yeah.
And
Shining You Crazy Diamond, that somber opening. Even High Hope, something as simple as just that simple melody played, but just the way he was able to phrase it.
Yeah, true.
Yeah,
True. Well said, Wayne.
Always hits.
Hey, by the way, look who's here, Wayne.
Oh,
I guess we should acknowledge the fourth member of our panel, all the way from Minnesota. It's Kyle from All Media Reviews Podcast. Kyle, how are you? Before we carry on with Wayne's great list, I want to ask you a question before I forget. What do you think of Alchemy Creek?
Oh, the new Cloud Cult? I'm liking it. I mean, you know, I'm a little biased because I've been like really big into them for a long time, but I think it's good. I mean,
you're like the only person I know.
What did you think of Metamorphosis, the previous record?
Absolutely love Metamorphosis. Love. See, I think they went a little cold with Love and The Seeker. I thought they were two albums that were good, not great. Metamorphosis hit me hard. Give it a 9 out of 10. Man, Alchemy Creek is creeping up there. It might be a 10 for me, man. I am loving it. Cloud Cult, Craig Minowa. You should be proud to be a Minnesotan, man.
I am, you know, he is, you know, but I like it a lot. I mean, they're consistent. They don't like release an album every year anymore. But if you don't know Cloud Cult, you know, they're they've been around like 20 some odd years, but they use a lot of chamber instrumentations. They have a folk element. A lot of their music's conceptual. And they get heavy at times, but they also are very kind of delicate. I actually have a personal connection because I took piano lessons from their keyboard player, the piano player, for a little while. So Sarah Perbix. So, but yeah, no, I like it a lot. I haven't listened to it enough to really fully gauge, but I think it will be on my list at the end of the year. Like it sounds like it'll be on yours. So
I'm loving the Bon Iver feel. Oh yeah, we were just in this small little cabin out in the woods in the middle of nowhere for 4 months, and this is what we came up with. I love how Cloud Cult can take this tiny little germ of this warbly little voice of Craig's and an acoustic guitar, and by the end of 4 minutes, it's turned into this enormous, huge, giant sounding piece of revelatory spiritualism. Just amazing. After I listen to Cloud Cult, it makes me want to be a hippie and get off.
I mean, the name is kind of on the nose for that reason, but
it's too on the nose. But I love the cheese. I love Neil Morris. I love Craig Minowa. I love cheese. Anyway, Craig Rowley's a good call, and Jürgen Fritz back on point, talking about the top 4 keyboard players you're going to carve into that mountain. Jürgen Fritz, I like it. I like that one a lot. Prog Radio's got his down.
Yeah.
He's doing the Deep Purple in rock rule. He's giving us 5, not 4.
Yes.
But anyway, getting back to Rick Wright, 2 absolutely phenomenal solo records as well, in Wet Dream and Broken China, which I think everyone should check out. Second one has more of that.
Wet Dream is good.
Yeah. On to number 3 on my Mount Rushmore. How can you not have Tony Banks of Genesis?
Hard not to.
On that list. The one of the constants of Genesis, just his work throughout. Like, you could put Tony Banks just on the Mount Rushmore just for his work in the 70s with Genesis.
Yeah.
But I think as time went along in the 80s, he actually got better.
Yeah, I like him.
And I know a lot of people will not agree with me. There's a lot of prog people who said Genesis died as soon as Peter Gabriel left the band or Steve Hackett. But Tony Banks, I've always loved listening to him play keys because it's always interesting. It's melodic. And just his work, if nothing else, just listen to his work on Selling England by the Pound. That whole album.
Yes.
Okay, here's one nobody's mentioned.
Cinema show
Thank you, Ian. John Evans. Yeah.
Tall.
What else you got, Wayne?
And then for my final pick of the Mount Rushmore, some might call this a controversial pick. I'm going to pick Rick Davies of Supertramp.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Good.
When you think of Supertramp, I know there is a lot of the guitar player. What's his name from that band? He always gets mentioned. Roger Hodgson gets mentioned a lot.
Oh, we're talking
but I think Rick Davies is so integral to the sound of that band. Like, just his keyboards, his piano playing, like a lot of their hits, really, you listen to them and how much Rick Davies is a part of that. And I think also with Rick Davies, there is a way they wrote songs together, how they could be this commercial and very kind of sad, but there's also kind of this non-conformity feeling to Supertramp. And absolutely love listening to some of those songs, like Bloody Well Right. What's some of the other ones? Take the Long Road Home.
There you go. Genesis died after Trespass.
There you go.
People always debate whether it was when Gabriel left or when it was Hackett that left that killed Genesis. We've got the answer here, boys and girls. It was when Ant left.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah, it's one of those where, yeah, Rick Davies, fantastic, and his phrasing throughout a lot of his keyboard work is really spot on.
Yeah, and
But I
brother,
will do
where you
something.
found?
I will do the Deep Purple. How can you not have John Lord
Yeah.
on that mountain? When you talk about guys like Emerson and that for their showmanship, John Lord is up there. You have a band with pretty much what feels like four virtuosos and a Richie Blackmore, John Lord, Ian Pace on drums, Roger Glover on bass, and Ian Gillan singing. That's a great band.
Mark
But
II.
the one thing that always felt like the glue that kept that band together was always John Lord. And listening to some of that stuff through the 60s and early 70s of what John Lord was playing, you can hear the beginnings of what is prog rock. And especially just a phenomenal sounding keyboard player, out there, adventurous, and just listen to the song. For anyone who says it's Deep Purple prog, listen to the song April. It's from their third album.
Yeah, it's that proto-prog stuff. Hey, have you guys run across this channel? You may not be lurking on YouTube as much as I do, but I just found a channel called Proto-Prog. And this cat's going through 25 albums that built prog rock. And, you know, before In the Court of the Crimson King. I wonder where you might have gotten that idea from. Didn't I do
I seem to recall you did something like that not that long.
Didn't I do an episode called The Origins of Prog? Where anyway, he's doing a great job. I don't mean to, you know, give him a hard time or whatever, but yeah, I think Deep Purple and John Lord absolutely foundational.
It was definitely distinct. I mean, it was an organ as opposed to just a normal keyboard or even a piano. So, you know, John Lord kind of, you know, revolutionized the use of organ in rock music in some ways. Forget prog, just all of rock music.
Sure. No doubt.
You know, I mean, unless you're talking about this, so 60s pop bands, you know, like what's the one hit? Del Shannon. Del Shannon had that keyboard, that organ solo that I always think of.
Yeah, that was the first. Was that the first Moog solo? It's just the first synthesizer solo, I think.
Yeah, but no, I mean,
but just for a couple honorable mentions, Dave Greenslade.
No.
Deserves an honorable mention. And and the two obvious, Keith Emerson, Rick Wakeman.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You know, it's obvious, it doesn't make it wrong.
That was a great list, dude. Well done.
Nice list, Wayne.
And yes, Peter, we have love for Jeff Downs. Absolutely we do. We just love if he would use some of his talents on a Yes album.
Because on Drama, he did pretty well.
Yeah, Drama was amazing.
Yeah.
He brought his A game on Drama, and he brings his A game for DBA. Have you heard those DBA albums with what's his name, Chris Braid? That songwriters had hits for Rihanna and stuff like that. The Downs Braid Association. They've got 5 albums out, and Jeff Downs is awesome on them, man.
He's paying his mortgage if he's giving the songs to Rihanna. Yes.
Yeah, it's something. But I'm telling you.
When I met Jeff, I brought my drama record. I met him 5 years ago, and I brought my drama record to him, and I said, I think that this is the best album. This is my favorite album that you've ever played on. And he was so cool. He looks at me and in his pure English accent, and he goes, I don't think you were even born when I made this record. I said, yeah, that's true.
Nice. Rachel Flowers, very good call. Yeah, she's amazing. If you've heard her take on some of the Keith Emerson stuff, just sick. Yeah. And Ciro Perino from Celeste, absolutely. Bo Hansen, I'm a huge fan. Everybody knows that. I think I want to go to the Lovebirds next and see what they've got to say on this whole, carving out faces on the side of a mountain. Why are we carving faces? Shouldn't we be like carving their fingers on the side of the mountain, right? That's what we care about. We don't care what they look like, right?
Well, this is a ladies first thing. We're gonna let Tarra go first because that's how we roll.
Okay. Well, see, doing this on short notice was like, okay, what do I do? Do I go for what everyone is going to say, or do I try and go for like the underrated kind of guys?
Yeah.
So of course I'm going to do the latter.
Thank you. God bless you, Tarra.
I had to go for Mike Pinder because he is an absolute pioneer of the Mellotron. I mean, he's the one that gave the Beatles the Mellotron for Strawberry Fields Forever.
Hey, don't mind me. I'm just going to do my list real quick.
All right. Thanks, Scott, for paying attention. I really appreciate it. But yeah, Mike Pinder, he was absolutely awesome. Totally underrated. Created a revolution within keyboard in Prague. I can feel you staring at me. Absolute legend. I couldn't leave him out. My next is Hugh Banton of Van der Graaf Generation.
Yeah, you're making a couple people happy in the comments.
Well, I had to. I mean, like the way he can kind of go off against David Jackson and create that really kind of sinister sound, and their music was so unique. He kind of took that Hammond organ sound and made it his own, which is hard to do, like especially among his peers in the industry. So he 100% had to be on my list. I couldn't leave off Keith Emerson. I can't. Like he was just at the top of his game, completely incredible. I mean, who else are you going to see getting up on top of a Hammond organ while still playing it and riding it like a horse?
Hold on a second. I don't mean to cut you off, Tarra. Kyle, are you seeing what I'm seeing here? Matt Bellamy
from Muse. Yeah, I don't. He is a virtuoso, so it's a valid pick, although it's number 5, so that would be on the second tier or the extended.
It's the in-rock rule.
Yes, in-rock. Okay.
The in-rock rule, you can allow 5, but I think it's a brilliant choice, personally.
Interesting, yeah.
Continue.
So Keith Emerson, and who will I pick for my last one? I'm going to have to go for Dave Greenslade because of his work with Colosseum.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't overlook the Valentine Suite. That was just a revolutionary piece of music in Prague. Again, completely overlooked. And what he did on that was just, oh my God, like epic stuff. Yeah, that's my little list there.
I got this because of her, and it's fantastic.
It is. That Valentine Suite is so far ahead of its time.
Connection to Uriah Heep is Jerry Braun also produced that record.
Oh.
Ah, nice.
There we go. We're teaching spin in Prague here. And the thoughts of Emerless Davjak. Nice. That is a record that unfortunately a lot of people don't know about, but they should. I mean, it does have Rondo, but it's
still though. I mean, like, if you're looking at people saying that In the Court of the Crimson King was the first like big massive prog piece, I mean that came before it. The Noise.
Well, but the King Crimson album had like chart success too.
So what? Doesn't mean they invented prog.
Oh no, it doesn't mean that. It just means that maybe they brought it to another. I don't know.
You have the Nice, you have Procol Harum, like.
Exactly. You had the Nice, you had Procol Harum, you had a whole bunch of stuff cooking, man, before King Crimson ever was dreamt up. So the whole idea that was the first prog album, it's a tenuous thing, but I think what people get confused is it was the first prog album that had the right album cover, that was actually amazing from start to finish, that had nothing that made you go, I don't really know what the intention is. I think it's the intention of In the Court of the Crimson King as much as the music they're in, which gives it that, that year zero kind of definition to it. But yeah, man, Procol Harum and the Nice,
and the Moodies. I mean, Days of Future Past. All I can hear when I listen to Epitaph is Nights in White Satin now. You know, it's pretty ripped off. Like
It's that Mike
Oh,
Bitter
it so is. Listen to the two of them. I'm telling you.
Oh,
Right, your turn. Come on.
Days of Future Past is a huge hit over here. So I've heard. Yeah, they're close, but it's my turn. It's my turn. Okay, I'm going to do the 5 thing. I'm going to cheat a little bit. I have to mention. You know what? I'm going to mention a Canadian guy who is an absolute legend here. He's big in Canada. You guys in America probably know him as the current singer for Styx, but I'm going to mention Lawrence Gowan. He is absolutely fantastic. He's a hell of a dude. He can play. He's super into the prog stuff. I mean, he stole Tony Levin from King Crimson in his solo band. And he's just awesome. He can play with his eyes closed and behind his back, and he can just he's a total classical guy meets rock. He's just fantastic, and he can play literally anything. He's one of the best musicians that I know, and he's an awesome singer. He's a great songwriter. He is the perfect connection for Styx. I absolutely love their last record so much. He's just fantastic. Yeah, he's great. My Canadian guys and Kevin all know what I'm talking about here. We see Ian. I know he's a Canadian guy. I always like Strange Animal. Yep. The Strange Animal record actually has all of Peter Gabriel's security band on it. It's got David Rhodes, Jerry Marotta, and Tony Levin, and just fantastic. Yeah, but yeah, Gowan is such a fantastic musician. He's a great singer. He's a whiz on the keyboard. He can do all that stuff like playing behind his back, and he can jump up on the keyboard and do all that crazy stuff, right? He's fantastic. But that leads me to my next guy, because he invented all the antics with the keyboards. You know who it is. It's got to be Keith Emerson, man. Woo! I mean, nobody sticks knives in their keyboard. He's the only one that, I think Lemmy from Hawkwind and Motorhead, when he was in Hawkwind, gave him the daggers to stick into his organ. And he'd get up on top of it, and he's like choking it, like he's holding the knife in it, and he's like riding.
That was dirty.
Yeah, it was. That's why we like it. Fantastic. Keith Emerson is, I can't believe the stuff that man can do with his left hand while soloing with his right. I think it's absolutely fantastic. And I just jammed actually with some people yesterday that I literally just met. They had called on me because they saw my cover of The Barbarian on my YouTube channel here. And they live out in Kitchener. And so we took the drive up there, and immediately I sit behind the drum kit, and the keyboardist, it was just the keyboardist, bass, and me. And the keyboardist starts playing, and he's soloing. Well, he wasn't quite doing this. Actually, yeah, he did do the solo. He was soloing. We played the first 2 minutes of Tarkus, and he's like, yay! We're playing with a drummer who actually knows this music. And I actually uploaded, because the three of us played Hoedown. And I uploaded that. Tarra was there; she got to record it, and so we put it up on my YouTube channel. First time I ever met those dudes was yesterday, and that's what we got, was that Hoedown clip.
That was awesome, by the way.
Thank you very much. For anyone who wants to see it, it's up on my channel right here, Brockway's Vinyl Bites. Like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Yeah, Keith Emerson, absolute genius, and his influence runs deep and thick, and it will never go away. He's one of the absolute greatest. I can't think of anyone who's on his level, really. Yeah. But there's 2 other guys to mention. No, there's 3 other guys to mention. Sorry. The one that I'd say is very close to Keith Emerson's level is Jordan Rudess from Dream Theater. I hear Andy Edwards on record that Keith Emerson is overrated. Well, we are Team Scott, but we do have a little bit of love for Andy Edwards, of course, because this Frost stuff is incredible. But yeah, Jordan Rudess. I mean, if anyone here knows how much I love Jordan Rudess, I think y'all know. I mention Dream Theater every chance I can. Particularly Kevin at Prog Radio probably knows how much Dream Theater I play on my show over there. just fantastic. I mean, he went to Juilliard when he was 9 years old. And again, it's so obvious that he learned how to play through Keith Emerson records, because you can hear that sort of influence where he can do this absolutely insane. So when you play a keyboard, the left hand kind of keeps the bass going and the right hand is the solo. But when you can play lines like everything Jordan Rudess plays, when you can play lines like that with your left hand and harmonize with the right.
Yeah, it's he's just otherworldly. Like,
I gotta.
He's not even human. I don't think. I think
No.
he's a cyborg or something.
No, you're right. You're right. And I got. It's getting too intense, but we got to keep it clean here on the prog on the prog corner.
That's right. It's a family show, Cody.
Yeah, no, I know. So that leaves the last two. Now, who do you think the last two is going to be? That's right. You guessed it. Rick Wakeman, of course. Rick Wakeman is, again, he's another one where no one is on his level, because these guys are so stylistically different while they're sort of bound together at the same time. There's no one on Emerson's level. There's no one on Rudess's level. There's no one on Wakeman's level either. He is absolutely fantastic. Cody's so predictable. Thanks, Jeff. Love you too, brother. Love you too, brother. I think everyone predicted Jordan Rudess and Gowan there. Love you, Jeff. So Rick Wakeman, yeah. I can't, in good faith, do a list without Rick Wakeman, because he's so integral to my musical appreciation. And the solo in Close to the Edge is the greatest achievement in, it has to be one of the greatest achievements in all of Prog keyboardist history.
Yeah.
It is absolutely fantastic. It's up there with Keith's piano improvisations on the live album. It's up there with all the other great stuff. And it was totally just a real trailblazing thing. And Rick Wakeman and his solo albums are great. I like a lot of his solo records, like The Six Wives of Henry VIII, Journey to the Center of the Earth, King Arthur, all those great. And without boring you guys to tears, we're going to
coming back. People wanted us to talk about the Red Planet. The Red Planet was amazing, bro.
Yeah.
You know, all those songs were earmarked apparently for material that was going to be worked on for the Anderson Raven Wakeman project. When they decided they were getting together, did some shows, they decided just maybe do some material. That never worked out, but Wakeman worked that out specifically for that project. And then when it imploded, which it obviously was going to implode, everybody knew that wasn't going to last. But that material was just amazing. And I want more like that. I will go on record as saying the Red Planet is the best record Wakeman has done since Criminal Record. And that's a long time ago. Was that like 77 or 78 that thing came out? So just really, really good if you haven't heard it.
And you know, Rick Wakeman never played on a Bad Yes album. And there's not a lot of Bad Yes albums, but the ones that aren't great, Rick wasn't on.
Yeah.
Because I love Tormato. And anyway.
What about Patrick Moraz for his work on Reelier?
Well, I kept it to one guy per band. But you know what? I could have went with Patrick Moraz, not for his moody stuff.
See, Pops agrees with me.
Yeah, that's my dad. Well, that's Rick.
Well, yeah, one per band is tough, Cody, because I mentioned like Camel having like 8 amazing keyboard players. What about the 3 guys that have played with Dream Theater? I mean, you mentioned Jordan. How about Derek and Kevin?
My dad mentioned Derek Sherinian in the thread here. He's a huge Sherinian fan. So am I. So am I. Scott, have you heard that Whom Gods Destroy record? Yeah. Isn't it amazing?
Yeah. He's just
my number one is Tony Banks. My absolute favorite band of all time is Genesis. I don't get into this. Genesis died in this year, and Genesis died after Gabriel left, and Genesis died after Mama and Invisible Touch. Nah, Tony Banks, I think, and I don't love all of his solo albums. I knew Cody would nail number one. No Tony, no Genesis, and Prog isn't what it is today. That's absolutely correct. And I mean, just think of all the classical music that he wrote to rock material with Genesis in the 70s there. I mean, my God, the Cinema Show. Who would have ever thought to play a solo in 4/4 over a groove in 9/8? Who would have ever thought? Nobody was doing that at the time. Now, of course, you get guys like Dream Theater and stuff who do things like that. But, Apocalypse and 9/8 and things like that. And then as they would move forward, they'd lose Steve Hackett and Peter Gabriel, and they'd move into the 80s. And if you listen to some of his solo albums, some of the key changes on that material is absolutely astounding. And I find that even with the 80s Genesis material, people say what you want about it. I like it. That's all that matters to me. And it just, even in stuff like Home by the Sea and Domino and even Invisible Touch, the song, I'm going to go on record and say Invisible Touch, the song. Listen to some of the keyboard changes that he does throughout that tune. I think he is absolutely a stellar musician. He's one of the absolute best that we have ever seen and ever will see. He manages to take classical music and put a real accessible side to it while being absolutely bedazzling and brilliant. Tony Banks for the win for me.
Banks, there you go. Strong. That's strong stuff right there. I can't argue too much with the inclusions there. In fact, one might say they were safe and pedestrian, in fact, but that doesn't make them wrong.
Well, I have to. You have to go with what touches you, right? I mean, it depends on your relationship with the band.
We haven't mentioned Spalberg yet. There you go. Good call.
I mean, realistically, you could sit here all day.
Yeah, you really could.
What about that guy? Oh, I forgot about this guy.
Exactly. That's why
you have to just go for what comes into your head, what kind of had the biggest impact on you.
And you know what? I almost went to include Jem Godfrey from Frost.
Sure.
Because he's amazing. But you know what? It's one of those things where I'm just going with, I couldn't in good faith not include Rick, Tony, and Keith. I couldn't. And of course, Jordan Rudess and Larry Gowan are all five of those guys are amazing. And so, it's musicians that I love and have personal connections with, and that's what it's all about.
That's what it's all about. Absolutely. We're not just here because it's music, it's more than just music. And,
it's life for us.
That's right. It's oxygen. And, that's why I'm like glued to these comments here, because every 2 seconds somebody's mentioning somebody else that I hadn't remembered. And it's like, okay, let me jot that down. And I think I got my list done. I think I actually did it. You guys saw me doing my list in real time. I'm sure that was quite a treat for you, but you're going to have to wait for my list because, ladies and gentlemen, all the way, from Chile, Minnesota, it's none other than Kyle, and he's going to, at the last minute, he put his list together as well. But, there's 4 faces on that mountain, so it's not like it should have taken you all that long. I appreciate you being here. What's going on, Kyle? What you got for me?
So like keyboardists, I don't tend to always look at like even just sort of technical skill. It can be, but I posted my list just off the top of my head, but I guess I could just go over that. I had Tony Banks at number 4. Cinema Shows probably just alone. That and like In the Cage, the solo in The Cage, do it for me. But I love a lot of the piano arrangements he's had. Even his solo music in the 80s, he did have one Derek Dick Fish appear on a few tracks. So I mean, even though people don't talk about his solo, but all the members of Genesis, he's the one who had the least successful solo career. But yeah, his stuff on Duke, he has just a plethora of just moments that I enjoy, but it always seems to fit the song as opposed to just being, just a virtuoso. So I have him at number 4, I guess. Number 3, because these weren't really ranked, but who did I'm trying to remember who I picked.
Well, Mount Rushmore isn't ranked, right? What do you have? Are we saying that?
All right, so these aren't really ranked. So I have the 2 fusion guys that came off the top of my head first, Chick Corea and Jan Hammer. I mean, they're kind of the definitive players, although I love so much jazz fusion stuff that's related to prog, you could say. Like Pat Metheny, Lyle Mays played with him, and he had just a ton of work I love. But Chick, of course, he has Return to Forever stuff. He had his own solo stuff, and it was known as Chick Corea's Return to Forever. And he just has like 40, 50 records, and like I love like at least half of them. It was really a battle between him and all the members of Return to Forever at their peak with Al Di Meola and Stanley Clarke and Lenny White. But yeah, no, he's a special musician, special composer for me. I did get to see him live once. Even he was doing more of the kind of stripped down jazz at that point. And Jan Hammer with Mahavishnu Orchestra, and actually he did a collaboration when Mahavishnu Orchestra broke up with Jerry Goodman from Mahavishnu Orchestra, an album called Like Children. I just did a top 50 jazz albums on my channel, and that was my #1 album. Jan Hammer, I love the textures he choose. That's one thing about keyboard players. It's sometimes about the texture. They have so many patches, so many samples they can use. And Jan Hammer, a lot of the stuff he uses just totally hit the sweet spot.
And
I mean, people know him for the Miami Vice soundtrack, of course, but
and yet, Kyle, we forgive Rick Wakeman for his infinite sins, for his horrible keyboard patches throughout the 80s and 90s.
Right. Well, we could forgive some of that stuff. I mean, with Yes, Wakeman I like, but my favorite Yes album is Relayer. The two favorite albums, the albums without him, even though I love Wakeman, but
Relayer and Drama.
Yeah, I mean, Patrick Moraz, I think I've never loved anything else he's done that much, but on Relayer, specifically on The Gates of Delirium, even, Patrick Moraz sort of, peaked, is the peak of sort of prog and jazz fusion keyboards in some ways.
Yeah.
Frog Levant. Yeah. The icon. Absolutely. Oh.
My other choice was Mark Kelly, of course, from Marillion. I mean, again, the favorite band bias is included, but I can't even count how many moments on Marillion's music I get goosebumps from his work, his arrangements, his little textures. From you just name the track stuff off of Brave, off Clutching at Straws, Misplaced Childhood, Marbles. Think about the Wall of Sound on Marbles. That's Mark Kelly.
Mm-hmm.
I know Hogarth has done some of the keyboard work, especially with Play Live, because Kelly can't do everything, but he's been a member since their first record. So he wasn't an original member, but he's been a member since. So he's been on every Marillion record, and the keyboards are one of the biggest parts of what stands out about Marillion and why I love them so much. So on the Dream Theater note, my favorite keyboard player for Dream Theater is Kevin Moore, even though I love Sharinian and Jordan's contributions, especially on songs like Blind Faith. But there's something special about what Kevin Moore did with Dream Theater, even his lyrics, but like Space Divest and Scarred and some of the stuff on Awake. And then if you consider the stuff he played on with OSI, even the two Fates Warning albums he was on, Kevin Moore, when he's good, he's just totally like melancholy, just sort of atmospheric genius. Even Chroma Key, I like some of his stuff, but so Kevin Moore, if I'm choosing 5, would probably be my 5th.
What's he doing nowadays?
He's a psychiatrist. Actually practices in North Dakota, like supposedly, but then his name got taken off that office, so I don't know if he's still doing that. But
I was wondering if you had enough, because I heard he was doing some kind of,
I know he has a Patreon. He has a Patreon, so I don't know if he's retired from music entirely, but I mean, when he left Dream Theater and then he started doing Chroma Key, he didn't want the whole rock star lifestyle, from my impressions. But then they did OSI, so he sort of got back into it a little bit, but. I think he just had other interests. He was living down in Costa Rica at one point. He had a radio show. I know the Dream Theater community has followed his activities off and on, but he's not. I never got to see him live. Unfortunately, that was one of my hopes. It's like, well, maybe we'll get to see Kevin Moore live one time, maybe with Chroma Key or OSI or something. But
I think the beauty of having Kevin in the band, not only did he have a great keyboard player, but like you said, excellent composer. Really good lyricist, so he added that extra dimension to the band that,
mystical, maybe dreamy, kind of very, very surreal. A lot of those dreams. It really brought that element to Dream Theater's music, which I don't think they really have had since. Not necessarily that's a bad thing, but I look at that period when he was in, and they had a certain kind of quality to some of their music, but so. Yeah, I mean, there's, you got you could do like a Mount Rushmore keyboardist from every decade, I suppose.
Pretty much.
I would take Brett Knopf from Phenomena and Ramona Falls. I love the piano parts on Phenomena's work. Or the stuff like every decade has, some of the Joe Jackson stuff. I don't know. I'm not talking pure prog, but just really good keyboard players that are doing progressive stuff.
Is there a full length from Phenomena coming, or are we just going to be stuck with that EP
I would
and,
think so.
and they're done?
They're doing a reunion concerts like in a week or two. They're playing the full debut record, I'm the Fun Blade Monster. Why would they put out an EP and not do more? So I hope so.
Yeah, let's hope so, man.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about a major underrated band that if you guys don't know, for years I thought they were pronounced Menomina. So if you're trying to Google it, yeah, that might be a little bit easier than whatever Kyle and I were mumbling there. Menomina.
Well, there's the city in Wisconsin, Menomin and then the Sesame Street. Menomina, the little Menomina song, Yeah. Well, have you ever heard the track off their first record that called "The Monkey's Back"? It sounds like a Deep Purple thing. Like he's totally borrowing from John Lord on that. That's one of my favorites.
Giant fan, love that band, absolutely. But like I said, Kyle, I was gonna do a couple different lists. First, I was gonna do the In Rock Rule, and then I'm like, you know what? That's not right. That's not Mount Rushmore. That's an album cover. So I'm doing 4, but I'm doing 2 different mountains, right? Because you can't just name 4 guys. That's ridiculous. There's been too much music. Prog's been around for 55 years now. So, yeah, it just ain't right. It's not fair. So we're going to do it like this. I'm doing a modern list. And this was really hard because there's a lot of great guys out there, of course, that are going to be forgotten about. Guys like, I don't know, Diego or Pete Jones or Neil Morse or Ryo Okamoto, but I'm going with Jordan Rudess.
My man.
I just can't ignore the talent level. I mean, I love Kevin. I love Derek. If you would have told me, right, that you would find somebody better than Kevin or Derek, I would have told you were insane. They actually did. He's amazing. At number 2 for my modern Mount Rushmore, it's Andy Tillison. Oh, I just love everything Andy Tillison touches. I think he's an absolute genius. I think he's an amazing keyboard player, but he's just an all-around musician. He takes everything from the 70s that he learned from the symphonic and the Canterbury stuff, updated it for today's prog fan. It's just amazing. I love you, Andy. And in third place, these aren't in order, but I'm going with Lars Fredrik Frøsli from Wobbler and the Chronicles of Father Robin, and his first solo album just dropped last year. That was incredible. But I love the fact that this is a cat who can take all the vintage gear, and it still doesn't sound like it's from it sounds like it's from the 70s, but it's a modern cat playing it. He has that dichotomy to his playing that I love. He knows exactly when to switch from a Chamberlain to a Mellotron. I don't even know the difference between the two, man. He's got like 4 of each or whatever. It's ridiculous. I love you, Lars Fredrik Frøsli. And the last name in the modern list I'm going with, who coincidentally is going to be a guest on my show tomorrow. It's none other than the great Thomas Bowden, formerly from the Flower Kings. Guy gets no flowers, no love whatsoever. Unceremoniously left the Flower Kings. He had some problems with his ear, but he's better than ever. He's back. His new album's amazing. So he's going to be on the channel tomorrow talking to me about it. So that's cool. My modern. That's my modern 4.
Good for you with that, Scott, man. That's really cool.
Thomas is awesome. Good guy. We had a great conversation. So I'm posting that tomorrow. My modern list. We're starting with Kerry Manier. I don't think anybody had him on your list, but something about the way Kerry attacked a song. Different than these other cats we were talking about from the glory years, right? Something about he didn't care if his sound was super huge. He kind of carried his keyboard voice the same way his own singing voice was. Unassuming, quiet, just not the guy that needed to be the star of anything. But whenever he started playing keyboards, he became the star of everything, man. Kerry Manier, absolutely. What a genius. I love him. Next up, I'm going with Kit Watkins. I said the Camel rule was in effect. I broke it. I don't care. Sorry, Peter Bardens. Sorry, all the greats that have played with Camel over the years. I'm going with Kit Watkins because those first two Happy the Man albums changed my little kid brain chemistry forever. I didn't know a keyboard could sound like that. I had no idea that that sound could be translated into the music I like, because we were kind of familiar with that whole pitch wheel thing from Fusion. It wasn't a new sound per se, but the way he weaved it into those soundscapes of Happy the Man, Kit Watkins, and then his work with Camel, forget about it. Kit Watkins, amazing. Next up, Tony Banks. Everything you guys said, absolutely correct. And I think the reason Tony Banks doesn't get all the love Keith Emerson and Rick Wakeman gets is he's just a curmudgeonly guy. He's not a pleasant guy. Nobody wants to spend any time with that guy. Nobody wants to, let's have a beer with Tony Banks. Nobody wants that. Nobody's going over to his house and watching a movie. He's just not a pleasant guy. And I don't think he was ever a pleasant guy to work with. And I know there's people that have worked with him, Dave Kersner and stuff like that say, no, man, he's actually a really, really cool guy. It's that stiff upper lip British thing, that, Charterhouse School thing. It's his public persona. I'm not saying he's any of those things. I'm just saying that's the way American audiences have always perceived Tony, as a little standoffish and, giving you the stiff arm all the time emotionally. But you can't argue with those chord changes, man. You can't argue with those inversions, man. You can't argue with, like Cody said about, oh, wow, this is a section in 9/8. Let's play the whole thing in 4/4. That makes sense. I mean, come on, man. He was doing stuff nobody ever thought about. It was all natural. Just an incredible mind. Great composer. Great lyricist, too. I mean, we think about early Genesis. Oh, and Gabriel left. Gabriel wrote like 20% of the words he sang with Genesis.
The sheets of double glazing help to keep outside the night. Only foreign city sirens can cut through.
If you take out The Lamb Lies Down on Broadway, only like 10% of what Peter Gabriel was singing were lyrics he wrote. A lot of that was Tony, man. So Tony Banks, unbelievable, deserves to be on the Mount Rushmore. And finally, I'm chopping these dudes in half. I am taking Keith Emerson's left hand, and I'm taking Rick Wakeman's right hand, and I'm fusing them together. I'm not putting a face on Mount Rushmore. That's my fourth player. It's going to be a combination of Wakeman and Emo, because they got together before Emo died, and they both agreed that the greatest keyboard player of all time was contained within the two men, but it was going to be Keith Emerson's left hand, right? Cody, you mentioned that.
Yeah.
Yes.
You mentioned Emo's left hand. Insane. Yeah. Insane. The best left hand in the history, possibly, of all keyboard players ever.
No, you're right.
Up there with Liszt and Chopin and Mozart, whom we can only tell from, accounts. Contemporary accounts. Emo was that good with his left hand. But I'm going to contend that, and he did too. Rick Wakeman's right hand was even better than his. So you put them together, you got the greatest keyboard player of all time. And I don't think there's any argument with that. That's my Mount Rushmore keyboard players. What have the people been saying in the comments here? Jeff with all the he's happy because we're talking about Rick Wakeman.
Rick Emerson, Keith Wakeman. I was gonna. Did they
Keith
ever
Wakeman,
do
there you go. That's my number one, is Keith Wakeman.
Did they ever do a key 3? I can't remember if there were talks about that. They're like the G3 thing, where you'd have, Rick, Keith, and I don't know, you would have maybe had I don't know.
Rick was tight with John Lord.
Yeah, maybe John Lord. I can't remember. I thought they maybe tried it 1 year. I'd have to look on Setlist FM or something. I mean, I was too young to know about that, but it would have made sense, to have Rick and Keith do like a sort of a show together, and they each play, and then they jam together like that. But
I know they were talking about it, but
unfortunately, that's a fantasy of us music nerds.
Yeah, that's what we love. We love to talk about that stuff, and we just we mine in nostalgia core here on the Prog Corner, and when we talk about the greats of yesteryear, people get excited, but. We will always talk about Keith Emerson and Rick Wakeman or Keith Wakeman, as I'm going to call him going forward. But there's so many amazing keyboard players that we didn't even talk about yet, from modern prog bands that are doing it right now. We didn't mention Diego Tejeda from Haken. We didn't mention, well, I think I did mention Peter Jones from Haken, but only because it's the same guy's name as the dude in Tiger Moth Tales and Camel. But so many amazing modern keyboard players out there. And so it was just kind of fun going through the comments and seeing some of these other names. But next week, I don't know what we're doing next week, so I want some help here. What are we doing on next week's show? Because everything got kind of thrown up in the air. We had this whole feud thing going on with Andy Edwards, and then Pete Pardo and all that stuff. So what we were thinking about doing a jazz fusion thing, but I don't know. What do you think? What should we do, Wayne?
I was thinking you had a good idea of disappointing follow-up albums.
There you go. Yeah. I do like that album.
We also had to do top 10 Deep Purple songs.
Yeah, we'll put Purple in the mix. But I like that idea, Wayne, probably because I was contemplating something similar. Yeah, disappointing follow-ups. Maybe tag it something like after the masterpiece, right? What do bands do after their seminal peak record? Some bands follow it up with yet another strong record. Other bands just crumple like a wet suit. So
I feel like there's a lot of albums that come out after like a really revered record that they're actually good, but they don't get appreciated when they come out. And then like years later, people appreciate them more.
The Pinkerton effect.
Yeah. Like, I'm not really into this, but I know like people love The Similitude of a Dream by Neil Morris band. And then the one that followed it, The Great Adventure, no one ever refers to. Yeah. Like they say, oh, it's good, but it's not as good as Similitude, right? It's that kind of thing. I know what you're talking about, Wayne. There's definitely a lot of,
that's the case probably because it's true with the Great Adventure,
where they tried something different and it just whatever. They're just trying to do something. Yeah,
different. This is what I'm talking about. A passion play, perfect example. Everybody points to Thick as a Brick as the absolute pinnacle of prog tull. So what do they do after that? Yeah. That's a good one.
I actually got into a passion play before I got into Thick as a Brick, and I loved it. So I
think that record is amazing. Passion play.
It just doesn't have any flute.
I don't know. To me, it took me a long time to get used to a passion play. I fell in love with Thick as a Brick so hard it wasn't even funny. That was my album. I listened to that thing a million times, and then I got my hands on passion play, and I was confused, man. And then we're going into that whole Jeffrey Hammond poem section.
You didn't like that?
I hated it, man, for years and years and years. I absolutely hated it. It made me almost like visibly angry and upset. It only came with the advanced age that I realized, wow, this is actually brilliant. It's just kind of like Prokofiev-esque and playful and amazing. And Jeffrey Hammond was just so much fun. Those accents, just so cool. I was dead wrong about a passion play. Absolutely. I would have given it like a 3 out of 10 back in the day. We all know it's a 10 out of 10 record. It's perfection. I love it. So that's
one for Scott. Tales from Topographic Oceans.
Yeah. See, that's another one right there. Everybody hails Close to the Edge as the masterpiece, I guess, selling England by the pound. So yeah, think about I think we're going to do that next week, and then maybe we'll talk about Deep Purple. That might be coming up too. And then somebody in the comments talked about Mount Rushmore of drummers. The Mount Rushmore thing's a lot of fun because it's really easy to do.
Got to have Andy Edwards on for that episode.
Oh, we need Pete Pardo on the Deep Purple episode. We need Andy Edwards on the drummers episode. I like that. That's good stuff.
Yeah, then Andy can see Canadian guys go on about Rush.
There you go. Hey, Wayne, what's going on your channel this week? Anything I need to watch? Because let's see. What did I watch on your channel? What did you do on your channel?
He watched the react. He gave his take to the whole feud thing.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. That's what I watched on your channel. You reacting to that video did pretty good for you, huh?
Yeah, not too bad.
Long live the feud.
Over 2,000 views. Not sure what I'm going to be doing next. I have a lot of stuff on the go right now, so I'm just filming stuff, editing stuff. I've done a few reactions on this channel. I'm trying to do a lot more not well-known bands. Just kind of listen to other stuff than just prog and metal, and just kind of going off in all these different avenues.
Oh, I love it when people are so wrong in the comments, but hey, we are still friends. We were actually talking before we went live on this, and he was complaining about my man Andres Prestmo sounding a little bit too much like John Anderson, so he's not a big fan. But if you are a diehard Yes fan like I am, if you are just completely, absolutely, insanely in love with Yes, come on, you're going to be a Wobbler fan. Period. Point blank. There's no two ways about it. Oh, Cody, what do you got?
And I know I did make you mad, Scott, this week going Team Andy, but
there was discussion about kicking you off the stream today. And these were serious discussions that went to the highest planning levels. And the decision was made because, we were just a tad bit shorthanded today that it was all hands on deck. So we decided, you were going to be put on double secret probation. I don't want to see any more Team Andy stuff coming out of you. Come on, man. Learn whose side of the bread gets the butter.
It's just for that one topic, I agree with them.
That's right, Jeff. Wayne needs a timeout.
I don't agree with Andy at all on that, but it was funny. It was funny. I'm Team Scott. I think you're we're Team Scott. I never. Who's Andy? So Andy played on this fantastic record. He played on Frost Million Town. He played in the next one too, and he played on a couple of IQ records around the same time. On the Frequency album too. Yeah. But yeah, he's a great drummer, and he's got a cool YouTube channel.
Andy helped Wayne say no.
Yeah, I notice Wayne's head is a little bit more.
We all got to get really close here, don't we? For Andy's sake.
I love how Andy spent. How long did he talk about camera angles and where your head should be in frame? That was great stuff.
He also came after Pete Pardo for having 1,000 shirts. What's wrong with having T-shirts?
Dude, Andy said he has 3 shirts. Dude, 3 shirts. That's gross.
But you know what? Let's look at Andy 18 years ago. Here's a nice little picture of Andy right here.
Get it closer. Let everybody see him when he still had hair.
That's right.
He was saying that this wasn't real under the hat, right?
When you took your hat off and he was going, "Don't look at it, don't."
He took a liberty with that one.
It's real hair. Look here. It's been a while. Look here. This is what they're jealous. I mean, I'm going to be 62, y'all. This is what they're jealous of.
You're still younger than my parents, Scott.
They want this. They want this hair. Oh, Jeff, I'm not breaking the camera, man. I'm making it rain, actually, buddy. Shaking my moneymaker. It's all about the hair.
I think Ralph Macchio is the same age as you, Scott. Ralph Macchio is like 62 also, yet he's playing someone on TV that it's just genetics, really. That's all it is.
That's right. I got good genes. The late genes have always been good.
Awesome.
Andy is backpedaling now. He absolutely is. So what's going on with the Spin and Prog, the future of your channel, Tarra? You guys got anything going on? Are we gonna convert it into a Spin and Prog Canada?
Soon. I'll be making a video where it's just me chatting about what's going on and what the future holds.
There's a lot to unpack.
Yeah.
Are you going to do a new channel, or is it going to be under the same umbrella, or have you not decided?
I don't know what I'm going to do yet. I don't know.
I'm trying to convince her to keep her channel because it's a good place and people like it there, including me.
I'm just trying to keep her focused on what's important.
Yes.
And that's the YouTube channel.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. Yeah, it's a lot. I mean, I'm staying in Canada. I've moved country. And it's pretty stressful. There's a lot going on, and I'm gonna have to sit down and talk about it on camera and let people know what's going on. So,
well, if you need anything, Tarra, I know these are stressful times. Uprooting your entire life, uprooting your whole existence for a boy. You know, I understand that there might be a whole lot of stuff going on. Like you said, a lot to unpack. And, you know, if you ever need to reach out, you know how to get a hold of me. You know, if Cody starts beating on you.
Oh, my God. No.
Locking you in a cage or something, you know. I got your back. Don't you worry about it. We'll keep Cody on the straight and narrow.
That's out of the question for me. That's
what? Yeah,
are you gonna have enough room for your whole like music record collection at Cody's is the question.
I don't even know if I'm going to be able to get my record collection over here.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, it's a lot of money. Like,
that's
there's probably about 6,000 records here, though.
Yeah, I mean, you know,
you have to get a storage space, Cody, or something.
All right.
What for her to live in? Oh, okay.
Channel, we've been ignoring, you know what they say on a live stream. Ignore the peanut gallery at your own peril. And
talking about 10cc.
Apparently, the people want 10cc.
I'd be in for that.
Yeah, that.
You like
I've
that?
just recently gotten into them. I love them.
You know, I didn't know this was your first live show. This is good. And let me give you just a brief shout out. What are you calling yourself today? You go by so many names. Nunya Progaloni. This is just for you, my friend. Thank you so much for behaving. I appreciate it. You're a man with a million thoughts running through your mind all the time. You're keeping yourself concise. You're keeping yourself under control. We love you, my friend. You're always welcome at the Prog Corner. You be strong, my friend. You be strong. There you go. Kyle, what do you got going on your channel? We just, segued that real nice.
Yeah, I did the whole jazz fusion list. I'm going to do an honorable mentions for that too, the jazz list. But I'm still doing the albums of the year stuff. And then I've got, I probably will review the new Cloud Cold album soon. Yeah, I mean, I'm actually organizing some actual group videos of my own with, Death by Unicorn Brennan from that channel. We're going to maybe do like a tier list of like Queen and then ELP and King Crimson maybe, or Steven Wilson. I'm not sure. So there's stuff that's in the works. It's just a matter of time, of course. And, my wife's going out of town this week, so I'm going to be juggling, kind of helping her out with that. She's going to be out for business. So, but no, I mean, and I want to do a CD A to Z. I know you're still doing the vinyl A to Z, right?
I am. Yeah, I'll probably end up doing E and F this week. I'm going to combine E and F, I think. I don't have enough E for a fun episode. So like all Emerson, Lake and Palmer.
Yes.
And F. ELO, boring. So yeah, E and F probably.
So I'm doing CD A to Z at some point. That's my hope. And I want to start talking about movies and stuff. Like I haven't done that much. There's a guy who's got a channel called Massey Entertainment he's got this cool group. They're doing their top 100 movies. So eventually I want to start doing a movies list. And actually I posted something that you guys might be curious about. People do albums of the year lists and they have radio shows. I was thinking it would be cool to curate a radio show or radio station that did like every 2 hours did a different year of music in succession over the course of a week. You'd never have to worry about playing the same song twice within a week. It'd be neat.
Cool. I wish we knew somebody that had an internet radio station.
Yeah, they could do that.
That would be interesting. That's not a horrible idea, but I think the best idea is the celebrity death match between me and Andy Edwards. Absolutely. Ian wants to know if we can have Andy on the show. I remind you, clowns, we did have Andy Edwards on the show a few weeks ago. Right before this whole thing exploded, right? We had Andy on here. And it was
This is probably the precursor to the whole.
the calm before the storm. Andy Edwards was on this here very show, US versus UK, the ultimate Prog battle. And it was Jim Newstead, Andy Edwards, me, and Scott from Mythologic, whom I hope we're going to have on the show again real soon. He's almost done with his third album. Just sent me a track off of it. Sounds amazing. So yeah, we're real excited to hear the new Myth of Logic album. Yeah, what else is going on, Kyle? Because I really enjoyed your episode, Bands with No Bad Albums. I was taking notes. A few big surprises on there. That was a great one.
Did I? I think I might have done that a while ago.
Yeah, it was like 2 weeks ago, I guess.
Yeah, no, I mean, there's other things I've thought about doing. Like, I don't know if you've ever thought about talking about bands like King's X and Fate's Warning on here. I know we did the prog metal episode, and it did
good numbers. So the answer to that question is yes.
Yeah, those two bands especially. Pain of Salvation's another one, or the Deer Hunter. I'm thinking about doing like a top songs list for both King's X and Fate's Warning, because I've done the albums list. And actually another idea that I came up, the gentleman Prog Hat. He did a video like a week ago about bands whose first two albums are their only two good albums, or first two albums are their there he is, their best two. That's actually an interesting idea, but it doesn't happen that often where their first two albums stand out, and then I don't know if that would be a topic for a video for myself or a stream.
I like it.
So no, I mean,
and here we are. We went from all this 10cc talk to a whole bunch of Bebop Deluxe talk going on in the comments. That's a good call too. I'm gonna write that down. It's all going in the book. These will all be episodes at some point. Let's see, 10cc and Bebop. Okay. We give the people what they want. This is, we're a very democratic place here. This isn't just me lording over my domain, like some kind of despot, like a dictator, like I'm better than anybody else, like, I don't know, some other YouTubers out there who maybe seem to think it's cool to think that your opinion for some reason matters more than anybody else's opinion. We don't play that game here, man. Everybody's opinion matters, even those people whose opinions are dead wrong, like the dude that said that he, the only good Wobbler albums are the first three. That's all right. We still love you, and we're still friends. All opinions are valid here. I've got some really bad opinions too. I'm not right all the time. I don't pretend to be. But what I do pretend to be is honest with you clowns that, I don't know it all, right? I learn something every single day. Every single time we do this, I learn something. I'm watching the comments, listening to you people, because I don't think I know everything like some other people. But, anyway, like I mentioned, tomorrow on the channel, very, very exciting. We got Thomas Bowden talking about his brand new album. So that's going to be fantastic. I wasn't going to review that new Cloud Cult, but I think I'm going to have to, man. It's that good. It's really, really solid, but one that's definitely going to be on the docket for next week. It's the best thing I've heard all year. It so far is my album of the year. I will be reviewing the new Ritual album, The Story of Mr. Bogged, Part 1. It's blowing my mind still. I've had it in my possession for like a month now. I still can't get enough of it, so I'm going to definitely be doing a review. Gee, I wonder if it's getting a 10 or not. Yeah. I'm not very good at,
I got to get going, Scott. My battery's about to die, so it's been great.
Hey, Kyle.
We'll catch you later.
We love you, Kyle. What about, has anybody heard the new Smashing Pumpkins?
No.
I've listened to it one time. Sounded pretty good, but
has anyone the new Deep Purple record?
Yeah, that's pretty good.
There's a bit of a lag. Sorry, there's a bit of a lag here.
No, I'm good here on my end.
The new Deep Purple record is really good.
Yeah.
New Mr. Big record as well.
That I have not heard.
Well, there's going to be some surprises coming out in the Mr. Big camp on my channel in a little bit, so I can't say nothing just yet, but we're aiming for that.
Okay. Big
Okay.
news. Lots of
I'll,
stuff
I'll,
going on.
I'll tell you after we get off
Nice.
we get off live.
Nice. Well, this was actually a shockingly surprising stream, one that we just threw together at the last minute. Thank you, Tarra, for coming up with an amazing topic at the very last minute. We were just going back and forth. The stream was not going to happen. We had computers crashing. We had people getting sick. We had this, that, and the other thing. We had feuds we had to fend off. We changed, this whole thing like 20 times. But it ended great with a fantastic episode. The numbers look pretty solid. So I'm real happy with that. So thank you, Cody. Thank you, Tarra. Wayne, as always. We're still friends, even though you're a traitor, man. Signing on Team Andy. It ain't right. Oh, man. It's just, the ingratitude. It's just not fair. But, Kevin, the show must go on. That's right.
Yeah. That's
exactly right. This is show business here. And not only did we throw something together at the absolute very last minute, but we threw together absolute great content for you clowns. You can't get that anywhere else. We just get up here and start talking and it's amazing. Anyway, what's coming up. Oh, yeah, what's coming up. Absolutely. Thank you, everybody. I love you guys. Tune in tomorrow for my Thomas Bowden interview. Until then, peace in the Middle East. Free Tibet, free the Ukraine, and God save Andy Edwards. Oh, save Andy Edwards. We could use your saving right about now. Oh, yeah, you could have that boy come to America. Bring that boy to America. Make him swim. Oh, yeah, he's going to swim. It'll be good for him. It looks like that boy's a little out of shape. Yeah, he needs a little bit of work out there. He's not drumming as much as he used to. So, yeah, he's getting a little bit of a dad bod. So bring him to America and we'll set him up straight. Yes, we will. Oh, we'll lay some hands on that boy. Oh, no, we won't. And then we'll put some prayer warriors on him. Oh, yeah. Thoughts and prayers for Andy Edwards. He's not doing so good. He's got the dad bod. Oh, yeah. And we'll do some spells and incantations. We're going to drink some poison in the name of Andy Edwards. Not going to work. So give that boy some rattlesnakes. I'll give him some rattlesnakes, and you know what he's going to have to do with them, right? He's going to have to dance with them snakes. Oh, yeah. Make Andy Edwards dance with those snakes. Anyway, guys, I love you. I'll see you tomorrow. Peace.